Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, our dear viewers, and welcome back to another episode of Why Religion, second series. And as we have always done before, today too we have a topic to discuss with you, and then we have in the studio some scholars from the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat who will explain the topic marital life for all of us today to benefit. On my immediate right, I have Ustaz Mohammed Sinayoko, who is a missionary in the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, and he is working currently posted in Guinea-Bissau. Ustaz, assalamu alaikum and welcome to the program.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Thank you. On his right, we have Brother Musa Kijera, who by profession is a banker, but he is as well a professor, a landed scholar within the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat. Brother Musa, assalamu alaikum and welcome to the program.
Salam, ya Ustaz.
As I have just introduced, the topic of discussion today is about marital life, but we are going to start it from the African perspective of marriage, because I know we are going to discuss a lot about what Islam said about marriage and within the house of couples, you know, what should go between them and what not. But I think even before Islam, Africans were marrying and doing all sorts of things. I think we start from there. We talk about a little bit of African marriage and that sort of thing.
Yeah, thank you, Ustaz Ibrahim Ba, for the question. As you said, marriage has been there, that we cannot say when it started, but it has been something that has been within the humanity for many years before even Islam. Generally, marriage in African culture is a union between a man and a woman, whereas if they have decided to come to start a family, which means that marriage is based generally on starting a family, to start a union that children will be born in that and they will be brought up, educated properly. So this has been the cultural reasons behind marriage in African society. We may have different ways of tying marriages and so on. It may depend on your religious beliefs and so on. For example, where Islam is predominant, the marriages are all tied according to the Islamic rules and regulations. When you go to some countries where Christianity is in dominance, they also do it that way. And still we have the traditional ways of tying marriages also. But all is based on one thing, that is to bring into unison two people, that is a man and a woman, or a man and woman, as it could be also in our society, because we know that in the olden days, our kings and so on used to marry not only one, but more women as well. But always it has been a man and a woman or woman, not the other way around, which nowadays people talk about different type of marriages, but this is what has been known in the African culture, and this is what we have been practicing. And when Islam or religion also met us, and it continues in the same way. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Ustaz. And Brother Kijara, if you have anything to add on to that before we go to the next point.
Yes, like the Ustaz Muhammad rightly said, marriage has always been between a man and a woman. And in that sense, before Islam came, we have our different cultures, traditions we follow. From the African point of view, it's still the same. It's marriage between man and a woman. When Islam came, the cultures that Islam found amongst us, our traditions, that is in agreement with Islamic teaching, we continued practicing that. So we may not know per se, I may not know per se, how African marriage ceremonies took place before Islam, because when I was born, Islam was already here. So the African way of, solemnizing, so the religious way of solemnizing marriage, that's what I understand per se. But I mean, the general principle, idea, concept has been that, and up to today, marriage is between man and a woman.
Just to buttress a little on that, as he has mentioned about the marriage, how the marriages are tied in our society. In some places where Islam is not predominant, as I have said, they have the same notion that a man looks for a hand of a lady in marriage. And if that happens, then the man has to present something to the family of the lady to request for the hand of the lady in marriage, which if it is accepted, all other family members are informed duly, and then the man is charged to pay something out for the marriage, which is the dowry. This is how it is done, even if you go to traditional way of marriage up to today in some countries. That is what they do. It may differ what they ask for, because you may meet some people, even because some of the most of the Africans were animists who used to drink wine, so they used to give that value to that wine, that special wine and so on were presented to the parents to show that you are interested. Okay, in some countries nowadays, like where I am in Guinea-Bissau, there has been a little changes, which I can say that the European way of system has entered there most. That is, first of all, there will be a unison between a man and a woman. They will unite, and what they say we are seeing, the fiancé system that is in Europe, that is also practiced especially in Guinea-Bissau, whereas you can see a man who may stay with his wife for almost 10 to 15 years. Some even will give birth to all their children. They are still not married, but it's understood that they are together. After that, then they will come and solemnize the marriage. Finally, that now we are ready to be together, finally. So there are different ways. But in our society, like in Gambia and other places where Islam is predominant, it's always following the Islamic principle, as Brother Musa have said.
Thank you very much, Ustaz and Brother Kijara. And now we come to the Islamic perspective. And then we started from the tying of the marriage between a boy and a girl. Brother Kijara, how is that done?
Yes, as far as Islamic teachings are concerned, before marriage is solemnized, the bride and the bridegroom will have to agree. This is the teachings of Islam. Sometimes the parents may initiate the match between the would-be bridegroom and the bride. But in Islam, there has never been a cohesion to force a woman into marrying a husband that she does not like. We can take the example from the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad Mustafa Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he was ready to give Fatima, his noble daughter, to Hazrat Ali. There was no cohesion. Fatima was asked whether she would want Ali as husband, and there was mutual agreement. So this is the first thing that takes place first. Mutual agreement, and then the official solemnization will take place. But the Holy Prophet also advised Muslims. He said, when we marry, there are many reasons that we can choose our partners for. Their wealth, their beauty, their family background, and their faith. All of these things are good. As far as Islam is concerned, you can marry a woman or a man because of his wealth, because of his looks, physical appearance, because of the family background, and because of their faith. But the Prophet said, please give priority to their faith. Either the man or the woman, look into their faith, their deen. That's the most important. Then others can follow. So when all these things are put together, then a date is set. And that this date, when it is set, it is announced. The Holy Prophet advised Muslims to make known marriage ceremony as wide as it is possible, so that to clear all doubts from people when the two are married together. So when that is done, a day is picked, There is somebody that will represent the woman and the man, or the man maybe there himself, but a woman is always being represented by somebody called a wali, is it right? And then after announcement is done, a day will be fixed, and then the imam or whoever will read the khutbah of marriage, and I'll allow Ustaz Muhammad to go ahead to read that for us. He's the imam. And you can take it off.
Okay, Brother Musa, thank you very much. First of all, before I just read the prayer, we should know that Islam has given a great importance to marriage, as it is reported in the hadith that our Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that marriage is my way, and whoever keeps away from my way is not part of me, is not part of Islam. So which has given great importance to marriage in Islam. And as Brother Musa have said, the preliminaries that goes into marrying, that is the woman hand is sought by the family of the husband, or the husband may have a representative who will do that. And according to the teaching of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he has advised, you know, in Islamic society there is always segregation, whereas the men and women are never intermixing. But he has always advised that before the marriage is tied, they should have that, at least they should see each other, so that they can be agreeable to each other, so that the woman is never forced into a marriage, as our brother have said. And he has mentioned everything that come in between before the day of the time of the marriage. As he has also said, Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "I'lanu nikah." That means you should publicize it. So when it comes to this, on the day of the time of the marriage, the most important thing is the questions that are to be asked. First of all, that is the wali, that is the father, or the one who represents the father of the girl, is asked whether the other family has contacted him for the marriage and so on. And everything is said publicly. He has to approve that, yes, he has accepted to give his daughter or his word to the person in marriage. And the dowry is also announced in that sitting, if it is paid or is not paid, and when is it to be paid. This is also very important, because in some society they will just tie it and they say, okay, it will be paid, and it is never, a time is never given, and the man also does not care to pay. But in the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's time, it was always that you must pay it, or you fix a time that you will pay it, so that they will know that this man will certainly fulfill this. So after all those announcements and everything is done, agreed, then he used to read khutbatun nikah, which starts like the Juma prayers, Alhamdulillah, Nahmaduhu, Nasta'inuhu, Nastaghfiruhu, up to the part of it. Then he reads Suratu Nisa, the second verse, or in some people's Holy Quran, that is the first verse, which is Ya ayyuhan nasu taku rabbakum alladhi khalaqakum min nafsin wahida wa khalaqa minha zawjaha wa ba'atha minhuma rijalan kathiran wa nisa wattaqullaha alladhi tasaaluna bihi wal arham inna allaha kana alaykum raqiba. So if this verse is read, then again another verse is read on top, which is also from chapter 33, verse 71, 72, that is Suratul Ahzab, where it is said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullaha wa qulu qawlan sadida yuslih lakum a'malakum wa yaghfir lakum dhunubakum wa man yuti illaha wa rasulahu faqad faza fawzan adhima. Then again also in chapter 59, verse 19, which is also يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. So this is the verses that are recited in the marriage when you are tying marriage. And if you look at these verses, they are advising you how you are going to live with your wife. First of all, you have been reminded that you and that woman have been created from one single soul. And you are coming to form a union, a family, relations based on that. So Allah is advising you to respect that relationship that is going to be built based on that marriage. In short, just to summarize the meaning. Then the second verse that we recited also advises you, takullaha wa kulu qawlan sadida. Always speak the truth. Yuslih lakum a'malakum, that will make your life easy for you, your work easy for you. He said, وَمَنْ يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ. Whoever follows Allah and His Messenger, فَقَدْ فَاذَ فَوْزًا عَظِيمًا, they will have a bigger reward. Which means that in all our marriage life, in fact, we have to follow the practice of our beloved Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As once Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha was asked about the life of Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said he is always at the service of his wives when he is in the compound, which means that they live together as one body, as one people who love each other, who help each other in life. Then the last one also that is also advising you that you fear Allah and see what you send for tomorrow. That means the children that you are going to get out of that, you have to take care of their education, to train them, to make them a better people in society. So in short, in nutshell, what is all about marriage has been mentioned in these three verses that we've read, or four verses. That is one of Surah An-Nisa, two of the Surah Al-Ahzab, and the last of this other surah that we read. All is about how you are going to live with your wife in a better way, and always based on the fear of Allah.
Thank you very much, Ustaz Muhammad Sinayoko. And I think if you look at those verses, we just see the fear of Allah in each and every one of them. I think if you look at it very well, it's mentioned 4 times, that ittaqullah, ittaqullah, 4 times. And that just summarized everything else. Because if whatever you do in the house of marriage, if it is based on the fear of Allah,
Exactly.
it would be something right. Brother Kijara, I think when couples are newly married, you always have they're in their honeymoon. You see that love and affection between them for that period, and that is also a verse of the Holy Quran that said that among the signs of Allah is that He created us. He created a partner for us from a single soul, and then He put love between these two, that is the male and the female. But what is disturbing most people is how to maintain that love. How do they keep that love and that affection alive for a longer period?
Yes, I think this discussion is very important. We may look at it from two parts. The initial stage, how marriage is solemnized between man and woman, but the aftermath, how married couples stay and live together for long. The Holy Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam has demonstrated everything. I'll give you a practical example that he did to maintain a very good marital relationship between him and his wife. When he travels outside, if he comes back, before he reach home, if he knew, Maghrib was going to find him somewhere before he enters his house, he would stay wherever he is and send message to his family wives that I'm coming, I am right here, Let's say, for instance, if his house is in Talinding here, he's traveling from somewhere, Soma, and it is dark. He will not enter he will not enter in his house during darkness. He will always make sure to enter the house during daytime. And he will also send message to them that I'm almost coming inside the house. You know, he said, one should not always give surprises to your partners. You should always be frank, be honest, and be truthful to each other. And he also said, before you just bump into your wives, send message to them, announce your coming, notify them that you are coming. Because women are very sensitive also. Sometimes in your absence, they would just leave themselves very loose in a way whereby they will not want you to see them in that manner. I'll give an example. This happened in our contemporary time in America. A husband who leaves his beard all the time. He looks very handsome in that. So, but there was a time, you know, this woman was attracted to him because of that. So one day the man just shaved his beard. When the woman saw him, she saw a different man now. So he just divorced the man. This is how sentimental people can be sometimes. So this is what Islam is trying to avoid. These are the teachings of the Holy Prophet Muhammad Mustafa Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And he also advised people, especially married couples, we should not spy on each other. This is the result of many breakdowns in marriage today. Untruthfulness, infidelity, and excessive spying on your partner. Islam has forbidden all of these things. Today's marriage, why it cannot last long, because of the excessive love of material, the excessive love of, sensual things. But if we marry based on the teachings of Islam, what our ustaz just read here, and what you also buttressed upon, it has mentioned the fear of Allah many times. Whatever we do, if we base it on the fear of Allah, that relationship lasts along. So for Muslims, as far as we are concerned, the Prophet of Islam Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has demonstrated all what we need to do in our marital lives so as to keep it as long as we can. And in that process, we will be able to produce good offsprings. Like the Ustaz rightly said, you can send some good thing for the morrow. And all this coded relationship between husband and wife is also a foundation for the coming of good children. Better society. If we have a good environment, wherever husband and wife is, when we live in a good environment, a respectful environment, whatever offspring comes from that marriage, automatically they will be respectful. It will be easy, they will be inclined towards righteousness. It will be easy to bring them up in that manner. So these are very important things that the society today needs to look at closely.
Thank you very much, Brother Kijera.
Yes, also add a little on top of that also. Thank you, Brother Musa, as you have said. You know, you mentioned one thing that is the honeymoon. And, the honeymoon, somebody said, is a honey plus a moon, which is always nice. So, after the honeymoon, everybody goes back to his own natural state. Because, first of all, when you marry, everybody try to please the other. But after some time, of course, you cannot continue pretending. You will be yourself. So when it comes to becoming yourself, this is where friction starts at times. So this is why the Holy Quran has advised us that we have to be always forgiving, forbearing, overlooking. This has been mentioned in relation to our marriages. That means you should know that as a man, you yourself, you have your weaknesses. And the woman that you have brought into your house was brought up from a different family, which will certainly have her own weaknesses. But if we make good use of those weaknesses, as our Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has taught us, then it will be beneficial to us. Why I said so? Because the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, a woman is like the rib. He said, if you try to straighten it, you will break it, but you benefit from it as it is. Okay, many people understood this to mean that it is the rib of the man that has been removed and fixed and made a woman. No, but it really means that that is her nature. You are brought up from a different environment, and she is brought up from a different environment, and because of that, your way of living is totally different. And you have to accept that all of you have your weaknesses, and you have to accept each other's weaknesses and live together in harmony so that the marriage will last. But if you try that, okay, the woman has to be exactly as I think, then it means you are trying to straighten a crooked rib, which eventually you will break. So this is why the Holy Prophet has beautifully taught us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the woman is like a rib. You should never try to straighten it, but to benefit from it as it is. So this is one thing that has to be there. Always, you have to be forgiving, forbearing, overlooking some of the things even that you act as if you have not seen. It brings more beauty. Because if the woman knows that she has wronged you, but you have overlooked it, she will try her best now to always please you. And eventually, that will bring a great harmony that you will be able to live, and the love will continue.
Thank you very much, Ustaz Sahib. And Brother Kijar, I think they are saying time is up, but I will rather seek for an advice for, let's say, like he was talking about the people who are in honeymoon. When they come back to their senses, of course, people will always have challenges, even if it is not in marriages, but especially in marriages nowadays. You have challenges, but the couples, maybe as young as they are, or even as brilliant as they are in class or in school, many of them today do not know how to go, about those challenges and overcome them and continue their life. What advice would you have for such kind of people?
Yeah, my advice to married couples of today is we should all understand our roles and responsibility. As a man, you sought her hand into marriage. It's your responsibility to take care of her. And the whole Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I'm the best of men because I take care of my wife in the best way. So men should always have this understanding that it is their responsibility to look after women. Women should also know that it is their responsibility to respect and honor and keep the wealth of their husbands. Too much suspicion. A man should not be, dragging his mobile phone away from his wife, like if the wife is something else from somewhere. That creates suspicion. Let your wife be free with your mobile. Do not do anything that will create that suspicion. But wives also should know that too much suspicion, over suspicion of your husband breaks down marriage. So, and also, we should always know that marriage is a form of worship. And to worship is not an easy thing. So my advice to both men and women, let's know that marriage is a give and take thing. To be respectful of your partner, you know that you are not better than your partner. When a man has something, let him or her share it with his husband. When a man wants to bring a new wife, a second one, let him not necessarily take permission, but tell her. That's right. That's closer to being honest, righteousness than you go and marry until your wife hears from somewhere else. That creates suspicion, bad blood. It will not go. So this is my advice. And then women also do not get into any friendship that your man don't approve of. Don't. Even your female friends. When a husband is not unsatisfied, is not happy, or if your relationship with somebody, cut it. Cut it there. And you can also advise your husband the same way. Look, I don't like you going on with that man. It should be respectful. There should be respectful and understanding between the two. This is my advice.
All right. Thank you very much, Brother Musa Kijara and Ustaz Mohammed Sinayoko. Viewers, this was all that time allowed us. We were discussing about marital life on your program, Why Religion second series, and we have heard all their answers, and I think this is just a tip of the iceberg of what happens in marital life. So this is all time allowed us. I was your host, Ustaz Ibrahim Ba. We say Jazakumullah to all of you for listening, and then until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.